first revelation and was chosen as Allah's final messenger.
Exactly. The Holy Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, was nearly 40 when Angel Gabriel descended while he was on a retreat. Commanded him to recite the first lines of Surah Al-Alaq, the 96th chapter of the Holy Quran.
Fascinating. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, was tasked with delivering the message of peace to humanity and declaring Allah's oneness to idolaters and polytheists of the world. He was sent to confirm the essential teachings of monotheism as preached by earlier prophets, including Adam alayhi salam, Abraham alayhi salam, Moses, and Jesus, peace be upon them all.
Yes. So today is a day of celebration, as it's an important day. Here to help us celebrate in the studio, we have Brother Mustafa Ali with our very important Holy Quran recitation segment with ayahs from Surah Isra.
Looking forward to that, mashallah. He recites beautifully. And straight after that, we have Brother Ibrahim Ansari on the couch with daily du'as, which include beautiful recitations and explanations about du'a. And this time we have du'a mabath.
We also have psychotherapist Brother Bilal Ali dropping by to discuss generalized anxiety disorders, which for me sounds very interesting.
Excellent. And today we have a date and walnut cake, and that's with life coach Fahima Muhammad and Sister Sana. Really looking forward to trying that.
Sounds great. We also have our fiqh questions and queries answered by our very own Sayyid Mohsin Shah with trade and business. So it should be quite informative. Look out for that. For competition details, more information with Mustafa Khatib.
The holy city of Karbala is home to tragedies, heartbreak, as well as treasures and wonders. Millions from around the world come to the sacred city with their prayers and tears. As well as being home to Imam Hussein Media Group, it's the home and resting place of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his brother, Abu Fadhil Abbas alayhum as-salam. Imam Hussein sacrificed his life for the sake of truth and preservation of the religion and teachings of his grandfather, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Imam Baraka says, order our Shia to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, since doing so increases sustenance, extends life, removes evil, and that visiting the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a duty upon every believer who believes in Imamate from Allah Almighty. So we invite you to come to Karbala and come to visit your Imam and perform ziyarah. Unfortunately, not everyone can come visit Imam Hussein. Not everyone has the ability or opportunity to visit regularly, and that's why Morning Baraka is giving you the opportunity to perform ziyarah from your very homes. We want you to send in your du'as and names of your loved ones so we can recite the ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on their behalf. Maybe you have a loved one whose name you want to put forward, a marhum who would benefit, or maybe you miss Karbala and yearn to see Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him. Why not send a small message or a dua for us to read here in the holy city of Karbala? Whoever's name you put, whatever dua or small message you have, the Morning Baraka team will pass it on to our team here in Karbala, and we will recite the ziyarah, read the message, and broadcast it on Imam Hussein TV3. Send in your names, du'as, and small messages to Morning Baraka at @imamhussein.tv, or messages, or leave a comment on any of our social media platforms. We look forward to hearing from you, and may Allah and the Ahlul Bayt accept all of our a'mal and our ziyarah, inshallah.
Yes, and welcome back. And as you know, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We're very much excited to see the rest of the show with our beautiful guests and reciters. But first of all, Zahra, I believe it's our favorite part of the show, where we are going to be listening to Mustafa Ali to start our proceedings with the holy recitation of the Holy Quran. Mustafa, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Today, inshallah, you're going to be enlightening us with Surah Al-Isra. This time verses 78 to 81.
Yes, inshallah.
So please, take it away.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا وقل جاء الحق وزاق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Welcome back. Many thanks to Mustafa Al-Ali for another great recitation of the Holy Quran. His voice is an amazing way to start the show. And the follow-up for that is to look into supplications, du'as, and the literature of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that we can take some lessons from that we usually don't know about. And Zahra, as always, we're going to be introducing Ibrahim Al-Ansari for that. So Ibrahim, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I've personally had some amazing times with Ibrahim during these shows, and I very much look forward to this episode and the next couple of episodes as well. Ibrahim, Zahra, tell us what's he going to speak about today?
I'll let him share with us what you're going to share today.
Okay, so today we're going to speak about the mab'ath of the Prophet, which is mab'ath, a word in Arabic, comes from the word ba'atha, which means to send. So it was the sending of the Prophet. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet or sent the message through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now here there's always a misconception where a lot of people start talking about Isra and Mi'raj during Mab'ath. Whereas they're completely two different dates. They have nothing to do with each other. And Isra and Mi'raj came way after Mab'ath.
What's Isra and Mi'raj, just for the benefit of the viewers?
Isra and Mi'raj is the time where Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was taken to Masjid al-Aqsa and up to the 7th heaven until he reached the Arsh and was given knowledge of everything, let's say, and which is even one of the moments which Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi wasalam, when he stands in the palace of Yazid, he is proud to say that I am the son of the person who was taken from a Masjid al-Haram ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa. And then he carries on to say, أنا ابن من دنا فتدلى فكان قاب قوسين أو أدنى, trying to show how close he got to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that Imams take pride in, that they are sons of this Prophet. Now, so there's always this misconception of mixing the two. They are two completely different days. They have nothing to do with each other.
Why are they mixed up?
I really don't know why. They're not similar in any way. That's
no, I mean, they sound similar. Mi'raj, Mab'ath, maybe,
Is it the
I'm
dates?
not sure.
What?
Just because it's necessarily related to the Prophet, people try to...
Also, there's some sort of angelic kind of divine ascension going on.
Yeah.
Because the Mab'ath, the angels, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the angel Jibreel is the one, when he came to him and said, Iqra, right? That's the Mab'ath.
Yeah.
And then with the Isra is when the Prophet was taken up towards certain levels of heaven.
Yep.
Yeah, and then shown different levels and then given the knowledge, as you mentioned. So because there's something, I think, divine intervention related, maybe people put them two together. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, it's possibly, but at the end of the day, they're two different dates because at the end of the day, the Mab'ath was actually the first day in which Rasulullah was shown the angel Jibreel alayhi salam. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he wanted to, he would have taken him on that at that time. But it was only after Hijrah, I believe, that he was taken up. And in fact, even within the specific dates, people try to take away the status of Fatima to Zahra. They will always try to find something.
Wow.
Fatima to Zahra, it was only during Isra and Mi'raj where she came, where the Prophet reached the seventh heaven, was given a fruit, ate the fruit, and from that fruit came Fatima. So Fatima was never in the aslab of those who were before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or before Khadija. And from that she came into the Prophet and came into Khadija. People, when they come to the birth of Fatima to Zahra, they say, how old was she when she passed away? They'll say she was 20-something years old. We say, no, she was 18. Why? Because if you say she's 20-something, that means it was before Hijrah. And that takes, therefore there's no Isra and Mi'raj.
Ah, I see.
So they always try to take away the status of Fatima Zahra. So these misconceptions are
So the
very
maximum
important.
her age could be was 18.
18.
Because of the Isra and Mi'raj.
Because of the Isra and Mi'raj, yeah. So she only came after the Isra and Mi'raj. Now, another misconception within the Mab'ath is within the actual story itself. So in the story of Mab'ath, the angel Jibreel comes to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as he was in his cave, and he says to him, "Iqra, read." The Prophet replies, "Ma ana biqari." Now the problem is, a lot of people say when the Prophet said "Ma ana biqari," means I cannot read. Now, if we believe that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is complete, it is impossible for him to not be able to read. And for whoever says that the Prophet meant I cannot read is a liar and not a believer.
Okay.
In the true status of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Instead, when we look at the Arabic language, and he says, he didn't say ma ana biqari, I cannot read. No, he says ma ana biqari. What do you want me to read? There's a big difference. The body language and the way you say it has a very big difference. Once someone says, can you read this to me? I cannot read. And once, can you read this to me? What do you want me to read? There's a big difference.
No, but what you're saying here is that there's two different sentences. Because body
in
language...
English, it's two different sentences. Whereas in Arabic, you say, what do you want read? And I say, ma ana biqari. And then, but I can also say, ma ana biqari.
Oh, right.
What do you want me to read?
Okay.
So when translating, it becomes two different sentences because we're translating the meaning.
Okay.
But the body language and the way it is said is what decides the translation.
Okay.
Is what decides the meaning.
That makes sense.
So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, ma ana biqari. And then after 3 times he said, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق.
But aren't there narrations that he was ummi? What's the word ummi in English?
Ummi cannot read or write.
Yeah, illiterate.
Illiterate.
Yeah. Isn't there narrations that he was illiterate?
He wasn't. That's the thing. Because if we say, so for example, who is better? A person who can read and write or a person who cannot? Definitely a person who can read and write. Therefore, if we say that Prophet Muhammad is complete as a human, not complete in terms of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, complete as a human, he must be able to read and write.
But then,
And, sorry, yeah.
no, please carry on.
No,
I just went to the thought that isn't there a narration that Imam Ali wrote? That he would speak and that Imam would write.
That's different. Where because when the Prophet comes, revelation would come forward, and he is informing Imam Ali, and he is the person in charge of his scripture. does not necessarily have to mean that the Prophet cannot write. We might be sitting here together and you might be, so for example, I'm talking right now and Brother Ali is writing some notes based on what we are saying. Now, that does not mean that I cannot write. That doesn't mean that I can't prepare notes and give it to Ali, but he's writing the notes based on what I am saying. Similarly, Imam Ali...
So in these narrations that says that ma ana biqara, for example, are there any little notes to say, to define his body language?
As in terms of notes, there are no notes, but our ulama, when they come to address this issue and when they come to talk about it, no, they prove. And in fact, it doesn't need a big alim to prove it to you.
Right.
Because once you believe, it makes sense. Once you believe that Prophet Muhammad is complete, he must be able to read and write. If he is complete, he must not be scared. Because when they say, what do you want me to read? And they portray it, specific schools of thoughts portray it as if he's so scared. What do you want me to read? I don't know. He starts shaking and he runs to Khadija and Khadija takes her to his uncle, keeping in mind the uncle of Khadija was Christian. And this Christian uncle of Khadija tells Prophet Muhammad, don't worry, you don't need to be scared, you're a prophet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you you're a prophet.
Wow.
A Christian is saying that. Why didn't he believe in Muhammad straight away? Why is Imam Ali the first person who believed in him? It doesn't make sense.
The way they portray him is, you know, it's like he was suicidal, and he was very frightened. You think
too much for him to handle.
You know.
That does not suit a character of a complete human being.
Well, in some regards, I know that, for example, even within the Shia narrations, that the weight of the words that are coming to the Prophet, I know that there were narrations that Imam Ali would say he would look physically drained because of the weight that was coming towards him, and he had to disseminate it. That is one side.
But then that weight, so perhaps when you see people who go into meditation and then something they go through, it's actually quite, you know, they can wake up quite faint because of the experience they've had. Now, this is a spiritual experience, isn't it? Like, you know, Jibreel is not coming as a physical form. There's communication between them, and obviously it's in a physical body, in a human being's body. That would be overwhelming in its own sense, wouldn't it? So you can understand why he would look pale if that's how they say that he's pale, but. I don't think my heart couldn't believe that it's because he couldn't handle it.
Even the whole idea of him turning pale. So, for example, we have in our narrations that Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Sa'd, all our Imams, when they come towards Salah, before they come towards Salah, when they are performing wudu, they start shaking, their face goes pale. Does that mean that they're weak? No, it's because they know who are facing. Similarly, when Jibreel comes down with the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we take the Quran lightly, we hold the Quran in our hands. It's the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These words, because Prophet Muhammad knew Allah properly, he feels the weight of these words. We don't feel the weight because we've got Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
They're just words to us.
It's the words to us. We don't know the true meaning. That's why the Prophet says, Ya Ali, ma araf Allah illa ana wa ant. Oh Ali, no one knows Allah but me and you. And no one knows me but Allah and you. And no one knows you but Allah and I.
SubhanAllah.
So only because he knows the true status of what is coming down to him, does he turn this pale. That doesn't mean he's weak.
No.
Doesn't mean he's scared of what's coming towards him. And most definitely does not mean that he's illiterate. Because otherwise he is not complete. It's similarly when the French philosopher Descartes, he tries to prove the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or God to him as he was Christian. He comes and he says, there's a triangle. If it is missing one of the sides, is it still a triangle? No, it is not. Similarly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you think of Allah, He is perfect. If He does not exist, does that take away perfection? No. If He only exists in the mind. So he says, if He only exists in the mind and does not exist in reality, is He perfect? No, He has to exist both in the mind and in reality. Therefore, Allah exists.
Okay.
Similarly here, we're saying that the Prophet Muhammad is perfect. For him to be perfect, he must be brave and literate. If he does not have these two qualities, he's not perfect anymore. The triangle, if it's not 180 degrees and three sides, it's not a triangle.
Wow, we're getting a maths lesson.
Okay,
as well.
brilliant.
Amazing.
Well, look, I would love to talk further about this,
Yes.
but there is a specific ziyarah or
yeah.
dua or dua. So, what is this dua?
Yeah, that was very beautiful.
where does it come from? What is it? Tell us about the dua.
So, on the day of Mab'ath, there are many a'mal that we can do. If we open Fatih al-Janan, there's literally a few pages with tasbihat, 2 rak'at prayers, specific ad'iyah. One of those is this dua that I chose today. So should we recite it,
Yes,
inshallah?
bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وأشهد أنك رسول الله وأنك محمد بن عبد الله وأشهد أنك قد بلغت رسالات ربك وأشهد أنك قد بلغت رسالات ربك ونصحت لأمتك وجاهدت في سبيل الله وعبدت الله حتى أتاك اليقين بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وأديت الذي عليك من الحق وأنك قد رأفت بالمؤمنين وغلظت على الكافرين فبلغ الله بك أفضل شرف محل المكرمين الحمد لله الذي استنقذنا بك من الشرك والضلال اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
In the final couple of minutes that we have, where is this from? Is it a dua or is it a ziyarah?
It is from the ziyarah of the Prophet on the day of Mab'ath.
Okay.
So part of it is you are saying that you bear witness that there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Muhammad is the servant of Allah and his messenger. And then it talks about his message. So after he says, so first he says, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّكَ قَدْ بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَاتِ رَبِّكَ. He didn't say, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّكَ قَدْ بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَةَ رَبِّكَ. No, because Prophet Muhammad, when he was sent on the Mab'ath, when the religion, and he was sent as a mercy to mankind, he came to fulfill all the messages of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, starting from Adam,
Brilliant.
Wow.
all the way to the Prophet Muhammad.
That is brilliant.
And of course, he talks about how he did so. نصحت لأمتك وجاهدت في سبيل الله وعبدت الله حتى أتاك اليقين. You obeyed Allah until certainty came upon you. بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. Sorry, you want to say something?
No. I'm fascinated. Go on, please.
Yeah, بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة. So you'd always talk in kindness. وأديت الذي عليك من الحق. You fulfilled everything that you had to from truthfulness. وأنك قد رأفت بالمؤمنين. And you treated them properly and nicely and with kindness. وغلظت على الكافرين فبلغ الله بك أفضل شرف محل المكرمين. So Allah raised your status to the best of statuses that one could reach. And then you say, this is where you relate back to yourself. Realize always relation back to oneself. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah. الذي استنقذنا من الشرك والضلالة. Who saved us through you from polytheism and going astray.
That is brilliant. I think that one point there just really hit home, and how he is the khatam, the last messenger of Allah. Risalati. I actually haven't noticed that. I knew the risalah. We would always say risalati, but actually means all of the messages that Allah has sent through all of the prophets. And you are the one that says what? وأشهد أنك محمد عبد الله وأشهد أنك قد بلغت رسالات ربك. So you're the one that has or is going to or has بلغت. So you've given all of the messages, not just that message that I've given to you now.
Everything.
That's brilliant.
This is the final message, the message of Islam, which combines every single message, every single religion into one, which is suitable for the era of the Prophet, our era, and any era to come until the Day of Judgment.
I'd love to recap everything, but I think there's a lot to recap on. I've made notes, but yeah.
But it's beautiful because it reminds me of the ayah of Quran where it says that, on Ghadir, when Allah says that I've completed your religion, and you think that he was the completion, wasn't he?
Definitely.
All that. So I mean, I think we should recite salawat just in his
Allahumma salli ala
mercy.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you so
Brilliant.
much.
Jazakumullah khair.
I
Thank you very
just,
much.
you have just so much love pouring out for the Prophet.
Yeah.
He's just such a beautiful creation. You think, you know, we could have been born in any era, and yet we are born in the time that we are. Like as this dua finishes, that we are saved through the polytheism and going astray.
Yeah. So you
just
say,
from his mercy.
Alhamdulillah, alladhi istanqadhana bik. Through you we were
Yeah.
saved.
Definitely.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much. Another wonderful
Thank you very much.
morning.
Jazakumullah khair.
So we can carry on, but unfortunately we can't. And our time with Ibrahim is over for now. Please stay tuned. In the next couple of episodes, we'll be talking more about the supplications and the du'as of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam. From here on in, it will be Zahra who will be with our esteemed brother Bilal, on the specialist segment. So please stay tuned.
Imam Hussein Media Group is a virtual university that works on a global scale to spread the true message of the Prophet and the Ahl al-Bayt, peace and blessings be upon them. Imam Hussein TV was established 10 years ago in the city of Isfahan, Iran. We work to cover all aspects of religion, Islamic jurisprudence, politics, philosophy and many more, and aim to bring the public's attention to the righteous Islamic sect, Shia Islam. Our ultimate goal as a media group is to convey the interpretations of the Holy Quran as well as the traditions and knowledge of the Holy Prophet and his progeny, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon them. Our objectives are to protect and safeguard the Shia youth from the destructive impact of immoral ideologies, standing up against injustice by documenting the oppression of Shia across the globe, as well as encouraging peace and unity amongst the Muslims. To reach our aims and serve the Muslim Ummah, we require a budget that would cover all the expenses for our productions, allowing us to work on different projects. Imam Hussein Media Group is a crowd-funded project. We have no sales nor do we charge for our services. We solely rely on monthly payments, financial contributions, donations, religious alms and generous gifts. The expenses of each production varies depending on the type of project and the style of filming. There are many elements to a production that requires time and capital. The producer must analyze the costs of the venue hire, equipment, transport, feature fees, set design, staff support and further additional costs. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him and his family, narrated, "The best of people is he from whom people benefit." It is up to you to help the Muslim Ummah come together and help guide the youth in remaining on the correct path of Islam. To take part in this global conquest and to spread the message of Imam Hussein, peace and blessings be upon him, please visit www.imamhussein3.tv or give us a call on +44 0203 515 0199. You can also contact us via WhatsApp, Telegram, SMS, or even email us on donate@imamhussein.tv. Let's work together hand in hand to elevate the faith of our Shia youth today.
Welcome back from the break. We had a lovely recitation from Brother Ibrahim Ansari and hope you enjoyed that. And now we're going to be talking about a topic with our specialist, Brother Bilal Ali, who's going to just help us understand more about anxiety and a term called generalized anxiety disorder, which we'll learn more about. I haven't actually personally heard of that myself. So firstly, welcome Brother Bilal. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Zahra. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, looking forward.
Good. Yeah, so as I explained in the beginning, I haven't heard of generalized anxiety disorder. Anxiety is something that a lot of us will go through on a daily basis, can I say, or perhaps on a regular basis. But perhaps we can go into sort of what are the signs of anxiety and what is specifically generalized anxiety disorder.
So generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD as it's known, is one of the members of the anxiety family. So you have things like, people have heard of phobias, of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. People have heard of things like panic attacks. So generalized anxiety disorder sits within that family under the umbrella of the wider umbrella of anxiety, and it's quite or fairly common.
Really?
Fairly common, yeah.
And is it something that develops from having regular bouts of anxiety, or is this something that's just a different diagnosis completely from sort of people generally having, like I said, I could have anxiety every day about something, but is generalized anxiety disorder something that's developed over time, or is it something that's triggers it?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So we all have the capacity to be anxious, and what does anxiety mean? Fear. Essentially, it's talking about fear of a future event. So some people, they have a specific thing like social anxiety in terms of mixing and whatever, and this is a particular kind of anxiety disorder specific to them. The interactions, talking to strangers, talking to new people, being in social situations, they find it difficult. But all of us can be anxious if we were at the last minute maybe asked to give a presentation at work or to meet somebody, somebody turns up to your house and says, oh, I've got a particular guest with me, accompanying me, and it's somebody that you don't know. You might come a little, oh God, the place or whatever. A certain level of anxiety just in response to that trigger. But generalized anxiety disorder is something that is quite intrusive in terms of how it affects a person's life. It can impact them in a bigger way, and it's something that won't just be in response to a minor thing and dissipate. It's quite there, chewing away, or more intense than other times, but chewing away for the best part of their lives.
Really? So
Yeah.
it's something that can it be overcome, or I mean, are there techniques to help people, or is it something that once you get it, you've got to then have sort of a way to overcome it at that point?
Certain forms of anxiety, some people take, they are given antidepressants or other types of medication, certain mood regulating medications, which I don't prescribe, I don't deal, but I'm aware of that people will take particular types of, sometimes they prescribe particular types of medication, even from their GP. It doesn't have to be from a psychiatrist, from an actual mental health specialist in that respect, but even a GP can sometimes diagnose medication for people with anxiety. However, there are other forms of help, talking therapy in general, the different types of talking therapy that exist, or CBT, cognitive behavior therapy in particular, is quite preferred. Sometimes people can find help from self-help books, these type of books which give you emotional, mental, various tasks to do, actions to do, sometimes even apps. There's even mindfulness apps, breathing techniques, different things that can help the person to, arrest the symptoms and actually learn how to calm themselves.
So what kind of techniques would you like, just like you've mentioned, sort of talking therapy, CBT, and even breathing techniques, but I really think sort of like how you would say if somebody's thinking, oh, what would I do, what can I do to help myself? What kind of techniques are there?
Yeah, so one of the first things that I could say that is, it's non-chemical, it's non-intrusive, it's just about focusing the mind and the thoughts and paying attention to the breathing is mindfulness. You can sometimes you can download various apps. Some you pay for, some are on a monthly subscription, and they give you particular exercises to do throughout the month, and you can monitor yourself in terms of measuring your mood on a scale of 1 to 10. How anxious are you? And it will ask you various questions, so you can kind of chart your progress or maybe even lack of progress, or whatever the case may be, and it gives you almost like mantras or sort of daily lessons to reflect on. But breathing technique within those mindfulness apps as well, they often have breathing techniques, sometimes playing audible stimuli, certain sort of sounds. It could be the sounds of the sea, or there's different sounds that people have found relaxing. So sounds of waves crashing off of the sea, or a forest, or whatever it is, but breathing and helping people to focus their mind on things that kind of inspire calm. Once we change our breathing, we can change our kind of physiology and change our heart rate and bring that down. Because one of the symptoms is of GAD, of generalized anxiety disorder, one of the physical symptoms is that racing or irregular heartbeat.
Okay. I was just going to ask you that when somebody goes through the symptoms of having GAD, do people have different kinds of symptoms? Is it something that's quite, there's a common one, or is it sort of different people have different?
Yeah, so there's physical
reactions?
symptoms. So it could be dizziness, lightheadedness, churning of the stomach, palpitations or irregular heartbeat, possibly sweaty palms, as I said, lightheadedness, things of that nature. Those are some of the physical symptoms, and they're quite common. in terms of their mood, it can become quite irritable. You can imagine if you're laboring with these symptoms for over a period of time or frequently, it can become quite tiring. So people can become irritable because it may even interrupt their sleep. In terms of their thinking, people with GAD often have, I wouldn't say intrusive thoughts, but the word I'm looking for is sometimes even racing thoughts. But there's a constant fear of dread.
Right.
Even if it's not directed at something specific, like I'm worried about giving this presentation, it's going to go wrong, I'm going to fall on my face. No, it's more like just this persistent feeling like something awful is going to happen. I feel like something really bad is going to happen. It's kind of, as I said, persistent chewing away. Sometimes people wake up with those feelings. It's there in the background. Some parts of the day they're more aware of it, and maybe at night they might be aware of it again. But it's like it's pretty much those. Some of the symptoms, if not all, are kind of present quite a lot of the time, if not most of the time.
Gosh, it sounds quite, because I'm from my personal experience, I know when I get anxious, and perhaps it's, you know, before, because you said it's not necessarily presentations, but you know, if I go for an interview or something, then I get that sort of churning of the stomach. But and then as soon as you know your your nerves calm, the symptoms go, and you think
the event pass, and there's a sense of relief.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So
almost like when people
I don't have GAD, do I?
No, I was going to say that sense of relief. Almost like when people are on an aeroplane and they might be a bit uptight or quiet or whatever the case, and when the plane lands, they get all talkative about the holiday or they're excited about coming back home again. But it's just that sense of relief because that the thing they were quite concerned or fearful of has passed, but that doesn't always pass just like that.
No, and I was going to say, you just mentioned about planes, and I remember going on a trip last year, and this lady was, she was laughing, but she said to me, I have anxiety and apprehension flying, and we were travelling internally, I think it was in Iran, and the planes are a bit smaller. So she said, I feel really, and she started to hyperventilate, and her family were around her and sort of say, calm down, it's okay. But it's not easy to understand when you're just a bystander, you know, you don't know what somebody's going through. No. But was she doing the best thing? I mean, that was obviously, or could she get medication for that kind of...
Some people do. Some people are prescribed medication for flying, or some people just, like I said, learn techniques, because the medication induces something chemically that with the power of thought we're able to do, or some of us are able to do. So some people, it's too laborsome, so they might just take medication because that option's there. What
would you say if somebody if somebody's concerned and they think, oh, I have anxiety that's sort of prolonged, and it's, you know, and the actual cause of that anxiety perhaps is not such a huge task for them? Do you think that they should seek help, sort of somebody like yourself, or go to their GP? How would you say would be the best?
There's a number of ways they can approach that. I think before they even make a call to their GP to get to discuss the issue further, I would direct them to, say, for example, like the NHS website, because it's quite reputable. They can, if, say, for example, somebody hears what we're talking about and they think, hey, this might have struck a chord, I would say then, in that case, if you think you may have GAD, you may at least recognize some of the symptoms that we discussed, you could go onto the NHS website and look at physical symptoms, psychological symptoms and other characteristics of it, to see if you're ticking more than not, more. And if you feel like you're ticking quite a lot of what you see, a lot of it applies to you, then the next protocol could be to make an appointment with their GP. Some people are quite, especially Muslims, can be quite a bit, let's say, worried about how does that go on my record? Does it mean I have a mental health problem? And all these stigma. Now, everybody has mental health, whether it's good mental health or bad mental health or anywhere in between, just like we have physical health. But I know that there is a stigma in the community, so if people feel that they want to go more of a private route, there are professionals who work in a more confidential way, where information there are some limitations to the confidentiality, like if they feel like you're at risk to yourself or a third party, then they'd have to break confidentiality. But generally they can work in a more private way. So you could, for example, seek out a counsellor or psychotherapist on like the BACP website or the UKCP website. Probably if you stick to more recognised national bodies.
What are those websites? Just for people who perhaps
like
don't
say,
know.
for example, the BACP, British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy, or UKCP, United Kingdom Counselling or Psychotherapy website organisation. Like you can... they list therapists in your area. You can, you know, things like that. You can Google. So, but what I'm saying is that there's
Find
lots of people
information.
online. But
Yeah.
if you go to like nationally recognized
Yeah.
websites, and you kind of know what you're signing up for or what you're looking into. This person's been, they're registered, they're registered or accredited, or you know, they've got some level of qualifications that are nationally recognized, as opposed to anybody fly by night.
Do you have, what's the route usually? Do people tend to go to the GP via and then they're referred on to people like yourself, professionals, or do people self-refer and then, you know, perhaps you would then say it would be, if you thought there was perhaps extra help that the GP could give, that you'd say to them, see your GP?
Not either, because sometimes people come to see me privately just because they've been recommended by like another Muslim, for example, or just a member of the public. So I'm happy to work with people, you know, do an assessment, do a screening process, and take it forward from there. Or depending on what they've presented, I may still be happy to work with them, but I might refer them back to their GP because there's a complexity of issues where it might benefit them to still see the GP. We can look at these emotional and psychological issues. However, you've disclosed, you know, chest problems or other physical or other problems that would warrant you at least to be set. At least I would prefer for you to be the person to be assessed by their GP, and we get the all clear in that regard in terms of no physical problems or, you know, things like that.
Because I'm just I'm thinking that with the way you're saying that the symptoms can get quite severe for people, and if you're saying the chest pains and you know, that's obviously you'd be quite concerned if it was something that severe. But any last thoughts about sort of like what might help our viewers to get a better understanding about generalized anxiety and disorder, or perhaps when not to worry and it's just quite okay to be these sort of like milder anxious?
I think I'd leave people with the thought, generalized anxiety disorder does exist. It can be very stressful and play a big part in people's lives in terms of being quite disruptive, and, you know, lead people to withdraw and avoid family and avoid friends because it's more of dealing with uncomfortable and anxious situations. However, there is quite a lot of help out there, and people do recover or learn to cope and adjust and, you know, like live functional lives. So it's nothing that we need to be superstitious about or bury our heads in the sand. The help is available. Yeah,
and I think, like you said, I mean, some people may not even be aware it's you know, it's termed as any condition. You know, it's just like, oh, I just get nervous, or it's just this. But actually, there's a whole big chapter. Like I said, I haven't heard, and I read quite a lot. But this is, you know, I have never heard of generalized anxiety disorder. So perhaps other people are in the same boat. And if you have any concerns, Brother Bilal said, please do, you know, research on the internet and hopefully seek some help if you need to.
For sure.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Inshallah, you have a blessed day ahead.
Inshallah.
And we'll see you another Monday morning. Now we're going to be heading off to the kitchen, and we'll see what Sister Sana and Sister Fahima are cooking up.
Thank you, Zahra. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Morning Baraka with this health and nutrition segment. And with me we have Sana. Assalamu alaikum, Sana. How are you?
Salam, Fahima. Good, thank you.
And we have more recipes. You know, I've done so many shows and I figured out that actually this has to be my favorite because we're tasting so much delicious foods.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to what you have for us today.
Yeah, so today we're going to be making a date and walnut cake.
Amazing. That's really nice ingredients, by the way.
It is. It's a mixture of obviously cinnamon inside with the dates and the walnuts, and it's it's a lovely treat to have, even during Ramadan, throughout the year.
Of course.
And it's really yummy and it's quick and easy to make, which is what we want.
Is it kind of sweet, or do you think that it's in between?
Well, the dates kind of make it sweet, but it kind of balances with the walnuts, so it's a really good combination with the walnuts. So it actually helps with the sweetness. So it's not too sweet.
Okay.
So I think it's a perfect.
I know that this
combination.
is health and nutrition, and we're doing a cake.
Yes.
So tell me and talk me through some of the benefits of this than a normal traditional cake.
So obviously we'll be using dates and walnuts, which within Islam are highly recommended to
course.
eat. They do complement one another. Sometimes you would have the dates stuffed with walnuts, and you can have that on its own. But we just want to mix it up and make it, something that you can have at home with friends, family, or even if you've been invited to somebody's house, you can make it and take it.
Sure.
And so, I mean, overall, the ingredients have many health benefits. The dates, depending which dates you have,
What have we got here?
So these ones are the sukri dates.
Is what you've used before, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. I do prefer them. I don't
For
know
baking,
exactly,
yeah.
but you can kind of trial and error with different dates to see which one kind of you like the most.
Sure.
I prefer this one, and obviously we're gonna have a go.
Do you
and see.
think, though, by having the dates, are you cutting down a little bit on the oil and the sugar, or?
Definitely. So we'll be
Okay.
using less sugar because
Perfect.
of the sweetness of the
That's
dates.
the whole point, is to
Exactly.
actually show we can still have healthy foods,
Yes.
cake, cookies, whatever it may be, and it's going to be a little bit more nutritional because of
Exactly.
the ingredients that we're using. That's going to supplement and substitute
Yes,
some
exactly.
of that,
Yeah.
which is really important. And we know, as our Prophet, peace be upon him and family, used to have dates with bread and break and open his fast with it.
Exactly.
And it's
yes.
really important for us to remember that even though we come from religion, it is not just spiritual. I know I have mentioned this before, but I really want to get into it. That it's so important to look after ourselves physically and to understand what the foods do for us. And I'm doing so much research into foods for your moods. And and it goes even beyond that, because I have clients with depression and anxiety, and there are certain foods that you can actually have to increase the happiness, have better brain function, and have better moods overall. So I don't just work with the mind; I work with the body as well to increase and improve people overall. And I think the show is so beneficial for everyone.
Exactly,
So do you want to start
Yes,
with what you would do first?
I will do. And also, just to add, if you have younger children who won't typically eat dates
It's a good.
or walnuts, this is a great kind of thing to get them into having it, because it's a cake.
Of course, and they don't
So
see it really.
It's another trick.
Yeah,
So I really
absolutely.
do try to do that. Even myself at home, I try and trick the kids to have something
Absolutely.
that they wouldn't usually have, but in a way that they would. So a cake. Most children will like cakes.
Of course.
So it's a great way to kind of get your kids involved as well, to do it at home.
And walnuts, I'll just explain a little bit about walnuts as you prepare, is that it provides a lot of healthy fats, vitamins, and minerals, and it's very rich in antioxidants as well. So we need to be aware of the specific ingredients that we're using today, as well as increases for you to have beneficial bacteria, so you have a healthier gut, and it's very good for the tummy, and it's really good for you to increase with your overall, well-being inside. And I think that we also need to know that it can help, a lot of these foods actually, not just the walnuts, but can actually help with lowering your blood pressure. And so many of us have these issues of health. And we don't really realize that the foods that we eat can make such a difference with our mood and our overall health over time. And even though we might think, oh, well, we're okay, we're fine, and we don't have that urgency, but when you take care from a young age, because you have that knowledge and you have that awareness, then that can actually, help you have the healthier skin, the healthier bones, and whatever it may be at an older age. But it starts from a young age. And a lot of people say, well, I'm young, I can get away with it. No, you do not. It builds up over time. And this is an awareness and knowledge that people should have and use for themselves now.
Definitely, yeah, I would agree with that. So right now what I've done is I've put 2 eggs and half a cup of sugar.
Okay.
So I'm now gonna...
And that's for a whole cake?
Yep.
Amazing.
It doesn't really need a lot of sugar. Like I
And
said,
the cake that you're going to make, is that like for a family size, do you think? Definitely?
Yes, yeah, it would make a whole kind of 8-inch, 8 to 9 inch
yeah,
cake.
it's a normal cake tin, right?
Yeah.
Which is perfect, which is what we need. We need something quick, simple, easy.
Exactly, and that's what we're all about,
But
really.
enough amount.
Exactly. We need to kind of be practical when we think about cooking. When you're at home, we don't have time to be in the kitchen for hours to kind of, get things done. So this is one of the best ways I feel, kind of making the recipe as simple and easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about a teaspoon of vanilla in there as well. This is optional. You don't need to do this. I just do that because I prefer it.
Sure, you must have made this quite a lot because I could not just pour it in like that.
Yeah,
I would have to measure it.
That's me doing my eye measurement.
That's fine. I see a lot of people that are good at this. So you tell me about yourself. Do you normally cook? I mean, we invited you here today because you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and you obviously use this in practice. It's not just for the show.
Yes.
So we're bringing this to everyone to share. So tell me a little bit about.
So basically, I try and manage such a busy timetable at home. Having children, studying, working, and kind of balancing everything. So what I try to do is, a lot of the time I will prepare things in the evening.
Okay.
So that really helps. I will prepare things whilst the kids are asleep.
And you're tired from a long day like everybody else.
Exactly.
But it's still possible, right?
It is. I mean, I would definitely recommend to do a timetable. It's the only thing that gets me through every day.
Because thinking about something takes so long sometimes than making the decision of what to make for the next day.
Exactly. Prepare what you're going to make. So for each day, have something on mind. Okay, Monday I'm going to make this, Tuesday I'm going to make this. So when you go food shopping, you know exactly what to buy for those days.
It filters, right, for the rest of everything else that you need to plan for.
And you can make that same type of food every week and just maybe switch it over on different days.
Yeah.
It's the best, honestly, for me and a lot of mums that I know who use the same type of style. It really does help out because you're not thinking, oh, what am I going to cook today? What's in my fridge? You know what you're going to cook, you have the ingredients, you know how long, just get on with it. Because cooking takes so much of your time.
It can do, absolutely.
And we don't want it to be so much of a chore. You want to enjoy it and you want to have something tasty and healthy to eat at the end of the day.
Well, this is brilliant because this is what the show's about, to actually show people that we're not just showing something that's unrealistic. This is practical because you are actually, giving us the real deal of what you do at home and bringing it here to share with everybody. And you actually do this and it's possible, it's manageable.
It is,
to have a healthy household with really good food and making from scratch with really really beneficial ingredients.
Definitely, and I would advise anyone who has younger children to introduce healthy food from such a young age.
Absolutely, I agree.
And reward your children with healthy food. That's something, and also another trick that I've done with my children where instead of saying, you know what, you can get a chocolate at the end of the day, I'll be like, you know what, you can have a baby cucumber. And I know it sounds funny,
but
them,
I totally get that.
For them, they're like, oh yeah, I would love to have a baby cucumber. And then they'll kind of be excited for that.
But like you said, from a young age, then it will be okay.
We need to kind of get that mindset of rewards, change it. Why should we reward children with sugary foods and not reward them with healthy foods?
But
so we have to kind of have that mindset. I mean, don't get me wrong, we should indulge now and then.
Of course,
it's normal. We don't eat healthy every single day.
Yeah, but that seems to be the only reward that's available.
Exactly, especially in schools. When you go into schools, I'll always be the one that will end up with the tangerines for the Christmas party. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? They're going to have so many different sweets. So I might as well give something healthy, whether it's strawberries, baby cucumbers, tangerines, and the kids love it.
They absolutely do. That's an amazing idea. And I know you've also, studied child development and just passed and, qualified in that. So, you have that way of, bringing your studies and your courses into your household, and it does work.
It does. I've learned so much, and I would definitely recommend all parents to go, even if they do like a small, a parent course, just to understand why your child is the way they are, why they have certain food habits, how can we, facilitate for them what they need. So anyways, so I've put the eggs and the sugar now. I'm going to put 2 cups of flour.
Is that just plain?
This is
flour?
Self-raising flour.
Oh, it's self-raising flour. Okay. Do you know, I don't think I've had date cake and walnut cake in a while, so I can't remember the taste of it, to be fair. I'm normally with the normal plain sponge cakes, you just go for the normal option. And to be fair, it's not really offered that widely even outside. So it's nice to have something like this where you can make and enjoy in your home.
Exactly,
There's
yeah.
nothing better than having that fresh bread or fresh baking, you know, from a cake or cookie to come
Yes.
home to, and that smell in the whole house. It's amazing. So that's another aroma that is actually quite relaxing and soothing.
Definitely. And
Feels like home.
Yeah, and I use cinnamon in this, and I mean, I
Okay.
love cinnamon. I don't know if, I mean, it's not something that everyone loves, but I really do, love cinnamon.
I think cinnamon's so strong, but you use it small amounts so that hopefully, you know, whether they like it or not, it just adds a tiny bit of flavor to it, but it makes a difference.
Exactly,
So if you
yeah.
don't like it, it's not going to make too much of a difference.
So I've put 2 cups of the self-raising flour. I'm going to put a teaspoon of the baking powder in there. And also, let's not forget the
Again, you're
cinnamon.
not using like the electric whisk. This is enough not to have it so
No,
whisked for so many
I do it
minutes.
all by hand, to be honest. I
Okay.
don't really...
But do you not feel like the consistency would be a little bit different if you were to use the electric whisk to have it, the batter in a particular way? Because I know most cakes recommend that.
It is, but you know what? I don't bake for other people. I just bake for myself at home. So if I was to do it every day for like professionally for shops or businesses, I probably would, because it takes less
fair
time
enough.
and you can get everything done a lot quicker. But for me, I just like to take my time and kind of just do everything.
Sure. No,
by
I mean
hand.
more so with regards to the consistency of the cake. Does it make a difference or not?
I don't know actually. I think if you're used to kind of doing it and you have a strong arm, you get used to it.
Okay, you're going to build on that anyways.
So in here we also have half a cup of sunflower or vegetable oil.
Okay.
So that's going to go in there. So I've put about 1.5 tablespoons of the cinnamon, and so I'm just going to mix this all up.
Okay. It's surprising
now-
how you can make, you know, amazing foods with just such little and less effort and time
Exactly.
and amazing ingredients.
And you can already smell the cinnamon in there. You know, sometimes you might make it and you
And
might...
it changes the colour as well,
Yes,
right?
exactly. So what I'm also going to add in there now, which is important, the dates. So you can...
You pitted them. Right?
Yeah, I've pitted them. It's about a cup of dates I put in there. I do like to use the dates in there for the sweetness, the natural sweetness.
Would
as
you
well.
use the whole bowl?
I would use a cup.
Just a cup?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
With this recipe, I would use a
Right,
cup.
Okay. So you just quickly break that in there.
So, you know, I prefer to kind of have it
A little bit
in little
bigger.
bits, yeah.
So you can actually... Do you think you can taste that in the cake when it's that sort of consistency?
Yes, yeah, you can,
Okay.
definitely. I feel it gives it that nice type of gooey...
Okay, yes, of course, because it's warm.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
And it's really yummy.
And this is quite soft, this type of date, anyway.
It is, yeah. And you can also use, you know, those small dates that are really sticky.
Oh, yes.
They come in like
yes.
a plastic
Of
case.
course. Yeah, yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking
You can
about.
use those as well.
But they've got a little bit of more syrup in there as well, right?
They do, yeah. I mean, they say that they add some things in there, whether they add like you said, a syrup.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess you can use those very well. I think they go very well with date
Absolutely.
cookies as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just mix this all up. Right. Okay. So I also do need to add the walnuts in there as well.
Again, another cup, you would say?
Yeah, I would use a cup, and you know.
Do you break that?
Yeah, I would break it. So you see, about that
Okay,
is
so
enough.
yeah, fair enough.
Obviously, it's a bit more difficult wearing gloves,
Yeah, I know.
but for hygiene purposes,
Of course.
we want to make sure, you know, we don't.
But even in the house, to be fair, because you're doing so many things and you're in the
Yes.
house, you could easily just mistakenly touch something which you shouldn't be touching.
Exactly.
Because you're distracted, and then come back and cook.
Yes.
So when you have the gloves, you know that you're doing it for that particular purpose only, and
Exactly.
you're not going to actually go touch anything else with that.
Exactly,
But your
yeah.
bare hands could actually make you do something when you shouldn't be doing.
exactly,
Or
and you-
touching something that's not really clean.
Exactly, and you know, with the walnuts, you can get your children involved. They'll probably love smashing these into little pieces. So you know, you can
Yeah,
get them
of
at home, and they can, you know, be your little helpers in
Yeah.
the kitchen, and give them something that's less messy, whilst you do the messy tasks.
Of course.
So you know, it's something
So
fun
how
for
long
you.
does this take? So the preparation is not much at all, and like you said, if you have all the ingredients and if you're prepared for that, it's very simple.
Exactly.
How long does it take to bake?
So the date and walnut cake, I would give it about 40 minutes in the oven. and I would leave that at around 170 degrees. But after 30 minutes, I would go and check it.
Sure.
And then just have a look at it, prick it to see if anything comes out. And if it does, just put it back in for the remaining 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that's enough in there.
Perfect.
Right, so now we're going to add the milk. So the milk is lukewarm.
Okay.
I prefer it that way because I feel it softens the dates a bit more. So when you mix it up, it kind of gives it a nicer batter, really.
Yeah, no, normally when I make cake, I usually add milk, I remember, in it. So yeah, it seems quite pretty normal ingredients to it.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, how much milk was that in?
That's about half a cup.
Okay. So mix it all together, put it in a tin, and
Yes.
for about 40 minutes on what temperature was that again?
So it's about 170 degrees.
Okay.
Now it could come across quite messy because obviously you're
No, of
mixing quite a
course.
few ingredients in there.
Wow, that looks amazing though.
So
Actually, the batter looks quite nice.
yeah, and like I said, if you want to add a bit of more cinnamon, you can
Depending
in
on
there.
your taste.
Even cardamom, if you fancy putting a bit of cardamom in there, it's fine.
Okay.
Right, so once we have that, we will just bring the. Okay. We will pour it into here. So what I will do is I use a very little amount of oil for the cake tin just to make sure that it doesn't stick. So we have a bit left in here,
Of course,
which
okay.
is enough.
So you just like
Yeah, and just
lay
brush it over.
and pour it in.
Exactly. And just get all of the edges because you don't, the worst thing is that when you make a cake and then you can't get it out. That's happened to me many times where I've tried to take a cake, you know, out of the tin and then you're there stuck for about an hour trying to find a way to get it out. So just make sure you fully coat that. So if you see it was very minimum oil in there, it's not much.
No, it isn't. Okay.
Right. That's fine. Okay, so let me just move this all to the side because we're done with this.
That looks quite simple, quite easy, and I
Yep.
cannot wait to have the finished product.
So we can.
I'm quite lucky actually in the show.
You
I
can
did
get to
come
try so many
not
things.
eating anything, so I can actually fill myself up.
Yes, exactly. Go as if you're fasting so that you're able to eat everything.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So you just pour that in. And
Yeah, we
that's
just
it.
pour this in. It's so nice just having a look at that all just drop in there.
I know
Isn't
the
it?
consistency looks, exquisite.
And even the smells of the cinnamon are
Of
really
course,
strong.
it's really nice even before the baking.
Yep. And you know, with the children, they just love to eat the end of the.
I know, the
cake.
bowls.
Yeah, even we do actually. So
No, that's right.
right, so you can see that.
Okay, so that's going to rise quite a bit then.
Yeah, so I tend to just give it a little shake just to kind of even any bubbles in there. And if you have a look, so that should be fine. And leave that in the oven, like I had said, for 40 minutes under 170 degrees. And then when it comes out, leave it to cool down.
Okay.
And then once it cools down, I'm going to put it away because we've made something already.
Perfect.
Right. Okay.
Oh, wow. That looks amazing.
So this is the after. So
Oh, wow.
if you see, it's nice and
Okay.
brown, and,
Yes,
and
it's
you know,
beautiful colour.
it's a really great colour. And even like the top bit, if you see how it opens,
Yeah,
it's really,
it's
you know,
amazing.
yeah.
Okay.
And what I tend to do at the end is I just sprinkle a bit of,
Some sugar.
yeah, just kind of to make it
No, of course, because
Look.
wow, that's
a bit more
beautiful.
presentable.
Beautiful.
Yes. Something so
Okay.
nice in doing this. It's almost like snow.
No.
There you go.
Oh, wow, that is amazing, Sana. Really, really lovely.
And now
I
you
love the
can
look
try
of that.
some of this.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Right.
And it's so nice with, these winter months to sort of have something like that with a nice cup of tea.
Exactly, yeah. Or even a coffee
Absolutely.
would be nice.
And could you have maybe something on the side with this, like ice cream or
You
hot
could do,
custard?
yeah, or even cream. Some cream.
Okay, well, we're not going to promote the cream so much, but maybe some ice cream. Oh, we have another plate. Okay. Let me just have a quick taste of this. Wow, that
So
is
if you have a look,
yeah, you can see the almond, walnuts, sorry.
Yes, there you go.
And some of the dates. Okay.
See how you feel. It's such a yummy treat, isn't it?
And it's not dry?
No, it's not. It's very moist.
Absolutely.
And it will stay moist for a few days if you cover it with cling film.
Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. And
You're very
honestly
welcome.
speaking, I'm going to end this episode quickly so I can finish that off. No,
We
that's
could maybe
really,
share it.
really lovely.
You're very
Really
welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
I hope you have taken on board as to exactly how to make this, because it's definitely recommended. Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back with more delicious recipes on Morning Baraka, Health and Nutrition. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Over to you, Zahra and Ali.
You've been caught for raping English girls. Remember? You're here defending the paedophile. I'm here defending your dad. These women are here defending the paedophile. You're here defending.
We don't need a TV channel because we've got mosques.
We have Islamic centres that are always open.
We have schools teaching Islam.
Hijab is part of a school uniform.
Islam has come and it's established here in the West.
And everyone's happy. They love us, our food, our fashion,
our culture.
The media is always on our side.
We've got plenty of English speakers, plenty of English books,
and plenty of places to go and learn in the English language.
Let's be real.
Let's get active. Be more involved.
www.imamhusseinfree.tv.
We're now part of my favourite segment, where we very much look forward to the interesting discussions with Sayyid Mohsen Shah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah wa
How are you doing? You okay?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome.
Inshallah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Where, you know, we talk about a lot of different subjects over the last couple of episodes. Very interesting subjects that obviously require more than the time allocated. But today we're going to go to something that's, again, quite relevant to people who are looking to sort of start their own business. And of course, within every walk of life, there is always the Islamic regulations involved. And I should assume
الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين وأبناء حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين الفاتحة مع الصلوات
ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا حسين
involved. And I should assume that within trade and business, which is quite important because that's where people's rights come into play, there is an Islamic perspective. So, of course, when it comes to business or when it comes to trade, you know, what is kind of recommended, what is not recommended, what should we stay away from?
Is it easy?
Yeah.
What's, you know, just go and do anything? Well, how's the sort of
The Islamic
law?
perspective.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In accordance with Al-Uthma Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi Hafadullah, first of all, business is, I think all forms of business is trade, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether it is a product or a service. You have something that you give in exchange for money. So it's trade. Whether that's, you know, like a service, whether that's an actual physical product. There's always an exchange of money and something in return. We see this in Islamic history as well. We see the likes of Sayyidah Khadija, who used to trade, who used to rent camels. We see with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa who's also a tradesman. So trade has always been with Islam, and it's always been, you know, like the culture and heritage, and you can even say the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa to work for oneself and to trade. So when it comes to an individual who wants to trade or go into business for himself, Sayyid Sadiq goes through, if I grab his Risala, he goes through 5 reasons, or 5 categories, you could say, of earning, which have different ahkam rules to them as well. So one is wajib, if one earns to pay the expenses of those he's responsible for. So one can go to start trading because he has responsibilities, financial responsibilities.
That's wajib.
His wife, it's wajib for him to go and earn, but it may be wajib for him to go and trade, because working for someone is also trade. You're trading your time and your efforts, aren't you, for a wage. So, but it is wajib upon someone that if they have got no job, they haven't got any means to earn, that they have to go out and start trading and do something. He's responsible financially responsible. He must do so. Haram, prohibited. There's certain trade which is haram, or someone will trade which is such earnings through dealing with alcohol and narcotics. One is forbidden to go towards that trade, and one cannot earn a means from that. Mustahab, such as when one wants to spend on his family. So maybe someone is financially comfortable and decides that they want to spend more money on their family, it is mustahab for that person to get involved in trade. Undesirable is we do have certain businesses, inshallah we'll go through some, that is undesirable to get into. You shouldn't, it is makruh, it is better not to. Or if you are involved in that trade, do so temporarily for a certain amount of time. I'll give you an example, inshallah we'll discuss more later, but selling coffins, even butchers, dealing with meat, it is it's makruh. Obviously there's a necessity for this, but you shouldn't really get involved. And inshallah we'll discuss a little bit more later. And then you have that which is mubah, trade which is mubah. If you do it, there's not much reward, and if you do it, there's no punishment for it neither. Going further into trade, we do have a hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and this is from Wasail al-Shia, volume 17, page 382, in regards to business, in regards to buying and selling and trading. Whoever wants to engage in trade, then he should excel in learning the teachings of his religion in order to know what is halal for him and what is haram. And whoever does not learn the teachings of his religion but engages in the business of trade, he would be entangled in prohibited acts without him knowing it. It is very important that before you get involved in business and trade, you understand the ahkam laws pertaining to that subject matter, and you go off and you learn, and then if you are to get involved, then you know that you are not committing haram, and that inshallah you are benefiting your akhirah with this trade.
But it's also benefiting in this world, isn't it? Because you say a business, you would decide, okay, it may be something that's not desirable, but you think, oh, I need to earn, so I'm going to go and do it. And then people pursue with these things, but actually the barakah is not there, is it? It really doesn't take off, and you think short term you may have a benefit, certainly long term it's not beneficial, because obviously, like you're saying, your akhirah anyway. But the impact on the halal, haram income, on yourself, on your offspring, there are guidance.
There's major implications that if you are earning haram money, whatever you purchase is haram, whatever you intake. So I went to get food, even that food is halal. That food, if I have haram money and I put that money towards petrol to drive to the mosque to eat food, technically that was all haram, because it's the source of it is haram money.
It's not a small thing to disregard.
Your lifestyle just becomes, all of it becomes haram, simply because your lifestyle is driven by haram money. So it has a big implication onto your lifestyle, and also onto your akhirah. Is very, very sensitive, and that we need to actually take a lot of care with our money and making sure that it is from halal means, definitely.
Absolutely. It's not small, Sorry.
Brilliant. So you mentioned, obviously there are different categories of when a business or a trade falls under wajib, haram. Makruh was very interesting, because although it's not recommended, but it's a skill, it's a form of income.
There is wisdom behind it. I mean, if we go through, it is makruh to sell land and property. I think a lot of people will be like, what? I'll go through the reading properly. The sale of land or property, perhaps the reason for the discouragement is often the involvement of cheating or false claims of expectations or unfavorable standards, or wide rooms for disagreement in the kind of business and transaction. I think the other thing because you need to understand this as well, that in Islam, under Islamic government, everyone has a right to land. And the way, how do you get land? How do you claim land? You develop it. So there's a piece of land, if you develop it, that's your land. So I think it's trying to encourage more people to go and develop land rather than actually buying and selling it.
But the thing is, number one, in this day and age, the means to be able to develop lands is way beyond what we have. Number one. Number two, I think in those days they were given land and there was not a lot of people. So if you're given land, you're given land in favourable places, which isn't too far from the central business area, for example. Number three, it doesn't cost a lot to develop it. What I assume they mean by developing it is more crops.
Yes, vegetation. Agriculture.
Grow the ground so that you can be able to sell something that grows from it.
Definitely.
So
I mean, Sheikh Banju had a really great show. Hopefully you can get it on YouTube. It was on Imam Hussein TV as well. And he was discussing how with having this free taxation, you could say, or this free claim to land, how it could actually eradicate poverty. That there is a big crisis right now, even in the West, in regards to the price of property, and people cannot afford to become first-time buyers and get onto the property ladder. Imagine if this law was implemented, that any land you could take and cultivate, that belongs to you.
That's what actually America was based on, wasn't it? That they had so much land that they invited the Europeans over and gave them free land to cultivate and then develop into their own, and that's how they brought so many other communities from sort of Northern Europe. But so it has worked in the past in non-Islamic countries as well, in developing a whole nation. But if we look at the modern world, London, and you've got a business where you're, buying and selling property because that's the corporate world we live in, capitalist society. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we step outside investment, the return on it is phenomenal. You're looking at what, 10-20% almost, and people who actually own properties in the West, they actually don't want to sell. They want to buy more and more, and I can understand that it is very, very appealing to people. But fiqh is fiqh, and it comes from the Ahlul Bayt. And there is wisdom behind.
Yeah, is it deterring the greed behind wanting more, and you've got it, whereas there are people that are needy and cannot afford it? Are we
not
avoiding
necessarily
that? What are we doing?
I think it's more to do with social sciences and implications, because Islam doesn't discourage people from trading, actually encourages it, and it's telling people to go work for yourselves, and it's encouraging people to get involved in trade and halal rizq. So we're not against people working, we're not even against people earning more.
But I was thinking more about people who own properties, and then we had this tragedy in London, Grenfell Tower. Homeless people, didn't have places to live, and there were empty properties in that borough of Chelsea and Kensington, millionaire properties not living there because they live abroad. So are we avoiding those kind of social implications where we're
Maybe
hogging these properties and we're not sharing out?
Maybe so, and I really believe that with land and cultivating, it's everyone's right to land. This is what Islam teaches us, that when you are born, you have a right to land, not the other way around. That just bought you have a right to national identity, and that's it. You have a right to have a land, so that you technically can eradicate homelessness throughout the whole world if we were to allow people,
free citizens,
just come.
Different world.
If you want, and back then in the Middle East, everyone lived in tents. I don't think that's very expensive to. It's very feasible to set up. So imagine if you came, you cultivated a bit of land, you put your tents on it. There you go. You're not homeless anymore.
So okay, so butchers, we also mentioned that as to be makruh as well.
Indeed, yes. It is makruh for the butcher trade, slaughtering of animals, and also the selling of coffins as well is makruh. To do with butchers, I think it's on the terms of that one becomes desensitized to blood and meat and butchery, you could say. They always say, slaughtering, and I think they always say a butcher really knows how to stab someone. They'll know exactly what part of the body to hit and to cut. So I think it's along those lines of.
It's amazing, isn't it? How it's the laws aren't based on just the physical nature. It's embedding both your elements of
psychology as well.
There's
a country in Europe, I don't know which one it is, I can't remember, but they let butchers do their job for 6 months. Then they send them to the farms to actually cater and to
for the animals.
look after the animals.
Oh, wow.
So to give them that humanitarian to that care, so they switch it back and forth for them, because if you keep one person being a butcher for so long, I think it does desensitize them and in a way takes away humanity away from them. Furthermore, it is makruh to trade during the times between the two dawns, the dawn of Fajr and sunrise. So between those two times, so from Fajr Adhan until the sunrise, it is makruh to trade between that time.
Which is how long? Half an hour?
No, a bit longer than that.
An hour.
Think about it. Well, at the moment it's about an hour, but in the summertime it's about 2-3 hours.
Oh, okay.
So depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
So that time period where you pray your Fajr Salah,
The start of it.
The
till
start, the
sunrise.
adhan, until sunrise.
About an hour and a
It's
half.
makruh to
isn't
do
it?
any transaction, any business during that time.
Mm.
Furthermore, just a side point, it's also makruh to sleep during that time as well. So when you wake up for Fajr and you pray, you
Yeah.
should stay up until the sun rises, and that time should be specifically for ibadah.
Right.
It's makruh to go back to sleep. And also it is makruh to interfere in other business transactions in order to buy what others are trying to buy. So there is
traders.
Yeah, so traders to usurp or to like sabotage or to get a quick
Wow.
one in before someone else is purchasing. It is makruh also to do such a thing.
I was going to say we have a question,
Yes.
so maybe bring it in here. So the question goes, Salam, morning Baraka team. I wanted to start a business. I wanted to know with Islamic law which is the best business to go into. What should I know and how should I handle customers?
Yeah.
MashaAllah, so the best business to go into is the businesses which are not makruh and not haram. Now I discussed makruh with you guys. Quickly to go over haram. It is haram for you to trade within anything which we call ainul najasa. So animals such as dogs and pigs, haram to trade with them. With dogs it's a little bit different, but with pigs you're not allowed to trade with them. Alcohol, not allowed to sell, to buy, to display, to handle, to deliver, to scan across a not allowed whatsoever. Anything to do with alcohol, blood, corpses.
Blood?
Yes, blood.
What
If you worked in a blood bank.
I don't think you No, we're talking about trading, buying and selling. We're not talking about donating.
All right.
The coffin
It's
business
makruh, yeah.
is makruh. So that's just for trading. It's not, if somebody's actually making the coffins or anything, they can do that, but they can't.
Yeah, making the coffins, no.
Right.
I mean, if they make it, it's actually buying and selling the coffins, which is makruh. Technically, I don't know, do people make coffins? Normally you just go to the fabric shop and you just buy...
They have the printed
you get
ones, don't
ready-made,
they?
yeah, you get
Yeah.
printed, the ayat and there's verses on them and everything.
Interesting.
Sorry, we've
Very
got one
interesting.
last literally got to finish. Any last pointers that you want to quickly raise?
In regards to business, what I really wanted to do was look at what is mustahab to do with buying and selling.
Yeah, I think that was a question.
There are some etiquettes in regards to what mustahabat. One is obviously to investigate the ahkam laws behind what you're going into. Secondly, not to discriminate between individuals during charging. So, especially also this. I know this person is a friend of mine. I'll give him cheaper, or not even that, but sometimes you get important people coming in. Say a famous scholar or a TV personality might come, and then you might say, "Oh, I'll charge him less," or the other way around, I might charge him more. Not to discriminate. This is mustahab, not to discriminate. Also, to be flexible with the price is mustahab.
Okay.
Right. So to be
no fixed price. Is that what you're saying?
Everyone has to make a profit somehow, but be a bit flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be stringent and be like, no, this is it and that's it. Be a little bit flexible. It's okay. In terms of those people who are purchasing, it is mustahab to either offer more money for what you are purchasing, or to take less. So let's say you ask someone, I'm buying some pistachio nuts. How much is a kg of pistachio nuts? Oh, it's £5. I'll give the £5. You know what? Just give me 800 grams, 900 grams. This is mustahab to do. And for the person who's selling, it is mustahab to give more. So if it's 1 kg for £5 pistachio nuts, here's 1100 or so forth.
Yeah.
And I think this is really nice because it takes away that element of I'm going to go as low as I can to get a bargain, and the seller being I'm going to go as high as I can to get profit.
Yeah.
If we switch the roles, I think both sides are a bit more generous, a bit more mannerism and more.
People will prosper more.
Indeed. I think people will
we
prosper
need to.
a lot more, and I think you'll get the right price for the good as well. I believe.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. So sorry to cut you off there.
It is.
No problem.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, Sayyid.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hope you have a blessed day.
Me too.
Inshallah.
And we're going to wrap that to a close now. The episode as well. Morning Baraka. It's always nice to finish with Sayyid and his interesting discussions. But on that note, inshallah, we'll see you in the next episode of Morning Baraka. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Hello dear viewers, welcome to this new episode of Marjayat Horizon. In this program, we present you with the latest news and activities of the offices and Islamic centers affiliated to the Shia Islamic jurist, Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shahbazi. And now, let's go to the headlines. Free Muslim and ISWF criticize accusations against Shia Islamic centers in Europe. PR Office of